Hello, sisters and brothers. Our devotional for today, for May 25, is a reflection on My Utmost for His Highest, series of devotionals written and compiled by Oswald Chambers. You can always find the link for the daily devotional at utmost.org. And today's devotional is titled The Good or the Best, and it looks at a tiny piece of the story of Abraham and Lot from the Old Testament back in Genesis, where Abraham and his relative Lot were trying to decide who should have which land. And so I'm going to read Genesis 13, verses 8 and 9, and then we'll go into the devotional. So Abram said to Lot, "Let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left." And as I mentioned, the devotional is titled The Good or the Best. If you take the left, then I will go to the right, or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left. Genesis 13, verse 9. As soon as you begin to live the life of faith in God, fascinating and physically gratifying possibilities will open up before you. These things are yours by right, but if you are living the life of faith, you will exercise your right to waive your rights and let God make your choice for you. God sometimes allows you to get into a place of testing where your own welfare would be the appropriate thing to consider if you were not living the life of faith. But if you are, you will joyfully waive your right and allow God to make your choice for you. This is the discipline God uses to transform the natural into the spiritual through obedience to His voice. Whenever our right becomes the guiding factor of our lives, it dulls our spiritual insight. The greatest enemy of the life of faith in God is not sin, but good choices which are not quite good enough. The good is always the enemy of the best. In this passage, it would seem that the wisest thing in the world for Abram to do would be to choose. It was his right, and the people around him would consider him to be a fool for not choosing. Many of us do not continue to grow spiritually because we prefer to choose on the basis of our rights instead of relying on God to make the choice for us. We have to learn to walk according to the standard which has its eyes focused on God. And God says to us, as He did to Abram, "Walk before me," Genesis 17, verse 1. And for those of you who are familiar with the story of Abram and Lot, this is before its name was changed to Abraham, you'll know that Lot chose one direction, and then God spoke to Abram and said, "All of the rest is yours." And I think that's really good for us to consider now, especially as we may feel like we're in a time where our self-preservation is the most important thing, taking care of what is best for us. But as Chambers points out, we often do so in the mindset of, I'm going to do what's good for me, when really what's true is God knows what is best for us. We don't often know what is best. And it does take our walk of faith in order to realize that. I can think of a time where I walked away from a full-time job with benefits, keeping only a part-time job in ministry in a chaplaincy role. And it was a big step of faith for me. And in the next 6 weeks or so after that, somehow, by the way things went, I actually earned more money during that time, working only part-time. It's a long story, but the point being that God knows what's best for us, and we have to be able to waive our right to our rights so that God can unfold what is best for us. So I hope you're willing to do that today and every day. Be encouraged. Thank you as always for listening. Stay safe and be well.